I love Lex Luthor. I didn't like know too. I knew like what his old deal. I knew he was like a smart rich guy. I knew he was like evil Iron Man or whatever. But like he's like the role he plays against Superman is really well portrayed here. Nicholas Hoult is really good in this. And the way that the character plays out is, yes, he's petty, but it's not just that. He has this insane superiority complex, like a god complex. You know, he's genuinely jealous of Superman. Like, imagine this guy who has built his entire life using his intelligence and has basically become like the richest man in the world. And all of a sudden, this fucking guy comes up out of nowhere with superpowers that he was born with, and he just wins the heart of everybody just by saving them, you know, and by denying the realities of the world. Um, that yeah, admittedly, it makes sense and it's portrayed very well. The way that that pisses Lex the fuck off, like Lex does not like that at all. And yeah, he does become obsessed with this because Superman represents to him his inferiority. Superman is someone who is to him better than him, and he has devoted his life, his career, everything he's built, he's devoted to destroying Superman in order to prove to himself that he is the best, to prove to himself that he is the best, and to confirm what he believes, which is that everybody should be adoring him and not this random guy who's not even a fucking human, you know? And that's, I don't know, I found that really compelling. And what's especially interesting is the way that he frames it to himself, because I'm sure a good amount of this is subconscious. The way he frames this to himself and he justifies it is that Superman not only is to him represents and signals his own inferiority in a way, it also signals the inferiority of humanity. Like, a savior implies that humanity needs to be saved. It implies that humanity is weak and can't help itself. At least that's the way that Lex interprets Superman's existence. And so to him, destroying Superman is taking back control for humanity. And also, like, it serves his own like personal gain. But like, that's how he justifies it, at least to the public. But I think a part of him truly does believe that, like, the humanity accepting something that isn't in his eyes human as its savior is the ultimate failing of humanity, and it's the ultimate failing of the human spirit to rely on something that isn't human in order to keep us safe, in order to make our world a better place. And so he justifies it not only as him defeating that which makes him feel inferior, but also defeating that which keeps humanity as the underdog, or keeps humanity as the disadvantaged inferior party. And I don't know, I found that super interesting. I thought that was played out pretty well. And I think it's written pretty nicely. And then just like, I guess another comment specifically about Lex Luthor, a lot of people talked about like the Marvel humor in Superman. I didn't see any of that. Like, am I crazy? I feel like some people maybe blew that out of proportion a little, because I watched it and maybe at one point I was like, okay, that seemed a little tone deaf, and that was it. Because like the rest of it, it plays off pretty well, and all of the humor in my mind from what I was watching, and I've only watched it once to be fair, like, it stayed more or less consistent with the tone that the entire world and story had already set up. And also, it told us more about the characters. Like, that's in my head. In my head, something should not be funny for the sake of being funny in a movie. Something should be funny if you have the opportunity to do it. If you have the opportunity to do, what the fuck? If you have the opportunity to do it in a way that enhances our understanding of the character, that's when I think you should do humor. Otherwise, it's just distracting and it's a waste of time, and you're just trying to like force a reaction from your audience, which the audience notices, and it comes across as very cheap. I don't think this movie does that. Superman, I don't think, does that. I think a lot of people, when they're critiquing it, they're talking specifically, and I'm about to spoil something, when Lex Luthor is freaking interrogating Superman. And so he has this guy that once talked to Superman or has interacted with Superman a couple of times. And he's got a revolver and he's basically playing Russian roulette with this guy. And so he's asking questions. And then on like the second shot, like the bullet goes off and it freaking kills the guy. Which is both like unexpected. It's shocking to us. Holy shit. Lex Luthor just killed a guy. And he didn't even like kill him in like a cool like superhero way. He just flat out shot him in the head. You know, that's a pretty big moment. And I think a lot of people had that ruined for them because Lex Luthor, like his next line is, I didn't think it'd go off that quickly. Like, I could see why people wouldn't like that, but that it didn't have any sort of negative effect on me when I heard that line, because in my head, that's Lex Luthor. In my head, that sounds like something Lex Luthor would say in that situation, because Lex Luthor does not give a shit that he just killed a guy. You know? Lex Luthor is the kind of guy who shoots a guy like with like a 1 in 6 chance of shooting a guy, shoots the guy, and then instead of commenting on how he just killed a guy, he finds it more interesting and more worth commenting on the probability that the bullet would be in the first 2 chambers as opposed to any of the other chambers. Like, that's the kind of person that he is. And to me, that helped the scene even more. It helped to show the coldness of Lex Luthor, and then juxtaposes that with the absolute devastation that wreaks on Superman and also the shapeshifter. I don't remember his actual name. I liked it. I liked Superman. Did it have his flaws? Sure. But I think the fact that like some of the writing is a little bit clunky and a lot of the dialogue's pretty exposition heavy, and those are like the things I prioritize most in a film next to characters. Like, I think the fact that those are pretty middling, and the fact that I still think this movie is like amazing, I think that speaks to how good the rest of it is. And I think it's a fantastic starting point. Considering where DC was before this movie, I think it's a fantastic starting point. I've been talking for a while. If you are watching this video, please like and subscribe. I'm not sure about subscribing yet. We'll see where I go. I might talk about like another movie I've watched earlier, because I like doing this. This is kind of my thing. I like talking about stories. I like talking about movies, writing, things like that. But yeah, like this video if you liked it. Tell me what you thought about Fantastic Four and Superman. Which one do you think was better, Fantastic Four or Superman? I hesitate to pick, but I'm kind of leaning Superman. I'm leaning Superman because Superman in my head just made more of an impact on me. And I think that speaks more to like, I think that says more about me and like my own like values more than it does about the quality of either of the movies. I think that was just a personal like preference, because I liked both of them. I just think that Superman made me feel slightly more than Fantastic Four, and Fantastic Four made me feel plenty. So like and again, so like it's not really like a which one's good and which one's bad. It's more like which one's good and which one was just slightly, believe it or not, better. Bye.